Alright guys, welcome back. Excuse me. Welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 tutorial, and today we are going to be covering the basics of lighting. So obviously lighting is super important. It's how you see things in your game. Pretty important. Just going to cover somewhat of what I would call like the basics. Nothing too crazy, nothing too advanced. I really just want to show you guys how you can set up lighting pretty quickly, and then quickly kind of edit it. And the main thing we're going to be looking at, other than just adding lighting quickly through the ENV light mixer, but also looking at how to add them manually. We're also going to be looking a little bit at the post-process volume. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So just in case you were curious, in my outliner tab right now, there's only a floor. The floor is right here, but obviously you cannot see it because there is no light, so you cannot see it. Pretty straightforward here. So let's fix that. Now, there's multiple ways to add lighting. The manual way would be to come here and add lights, and to essentially start adding in like a directional light, and then a skylight, and start adding in various things here. Or you can do what I prefer to do, and I believe this is new for Unreal Engine 5. You're going to come up here to the ENV light mixer right here, and you can create your lighting here. So the first thing I generally like to create is just some skylight and some atmospheric light, just to kind of get us going here. When you created the skylight, notice here that two things created here. You had a skylight 1 and a directional light 1, and all the properties that are going to be over here are also going to be over here as well as some other properties. So you can edit them here or here. I prefer here because you kind of have everything in one place. And you can kind of change the intensity of the lighting, right? We'll talk more about all of these settings. I won't go too in depth too fast, but you can also change up the skylight. Now the skylight is going to be essentially, the directional light is what's emitting from the sky. So like the direction. Let me see if I can show this a little bit better, what I mean by the direction. If I rotate this, you can see I'm changing where the direction is. So therefore, the amount of light that's hitting the screen is changing, right? So that's what the directional light, and then the skylight is kind of just the overall like lighting of the sky. And if I start changing it, you can kind of see that it's not direction oriented, where this definitely is, and you can tell with this arrow what direction the lighting is pointing. Okay, going back over to the environmental light mixer. You can also create a sky atmosphere. This is now going to be that actual color, and then if I create the height fog as well, that's going to be this bottom right here. And just like I said before, all of these things are right here, and you can edit them and mix them up and move them around a little bit. As you can see, I'm starting to mess with this. You're kind of getting that blue tint now. If I add some light color here, you're really going to get a blue tint, right? Or you can kind of have this nice little red tint, or whatever you'd like. I'll go ahead and change this back to something more reasonable. This something back to a little bit something more reasonable as well. Boom. You can change the scattering, the Raylene scattering as well. As you can see, that's changing the color of the skies. And pretty much any setting that you're really going to manipulate specifically with the clouds, you can even change the cloud texture as well. Any specific settings are really going to be like in here, and this is essentially where you change stuff up and kind of manipulate the light. So that's the basics. Now let's go ahead and look over here in the outliner tab what was created. We have a directional light, a height fog, a sky atmosphere, a skylight, and a volumetric cloud. Each one of those and all of them work together to create the general lighting in your scene. So these are the general 5 lighting components that are generally used to create lighting. And what I recommend you do is you actually group them all into a folder. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder here. Whoops. And I'm going to call it lighting. Boom. And we're just going to drag these guys into there. Now everything is nice, neatly organized, and it's very easy to tell what is a part of lighting and what is a part of the level. All right, cool. So, as I said before, you can change things around in either the environment light mixer, or now you can come to this folder here too and change it here in the settings. And then of course you can add and change all of these or add new ones and whatnot right over here as well. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and look at a post-process volume. A post-process volume does kind of what it says. It changes everything after the game has been processed, for lack of better words. But essentially, it's a way to manipulate the lighting after it's kind of already been created. So when you manipulate the lighting here, you're creating what the light's going to be. This changes the lighting afterwards. Now, you can check a box here that makes this unbound. So that way it's not affected by the specific area in which it's located. Or you can have it be not unbound. I'm just going to go ahead and show you. So post-processing essentially affects everything after stuff has been made. So I've gone ahead and made 2 post-process volumes. And you'll see here in a second here, when I enter these 2 different areas where the post-process volumes are, my lighting is going to be different. So as normal, you can kind of go through here and just read each one of these settings. There's many settings here. So to go through all of them, we would be here for a while. So I just want to kind of go through some of the most used, starting with exposure. Exposure is going to be kind of like the amount of brightness that's hitting your screen, for lack of better words. So as you can see, if I have an extremely high exposure compensation, you'll see that my camera just whitens up, just like that. And you actually have a speed up and a slowdown for how fast this is going to happen. So if I made this really high, boom, and I come out of the box, it slows down at a normal rate, but now when I go back in, it's hitting definitely a lot faster, as you can see. And if I did a really high slowdown now, this is going to speed way down. So that's essentially a way a post-process volume. You've just kind of seen what it does here. It essentially changes light depending on the actor and where they are. This is how fast it happens. So if you were entering into a cave, for example, you would definitely want to use one of these. So now if I kind of come in here, you can kind of see it's definitely darker because I've changed the exposure now. So you kind of get that feeling of it here. Okay, definitely one of the most used settings in Unreal Engine 5 is going to be your post-process volume. So too much. Down to like 2. Still pretty bright. Okay. All right, cool. Now you also have intensity here as well, and you can also create like a tint on the dirt. So imagine like you had dirt on your face. That's going to be the dirt mask, and you can actually assign like a texture to this. So we'll actually be able to see this, and then you can change the intensity, how much it's being added. And then you can also change the tint of the mask as well. Now this probably isn't the best mask for this example. Let's see if we can find a good one here. But as you can see there, for example, it kind of changes how the light reflects and how the light kind of hits your screen and manipulates the color in your scene. And you can see here, this is starting to get a lot more blurrier because of that dirt mask. You also have some local exposure, which is just in the specific area, and then you also have some lens flaring as well. So if you wanted the lens to really flare a specific way, you could do this as well. And it'll allow you to see a little bit of manipulation, kind of like as if the camera lens was flaring out. Cool. But we could go through the many settings here. The bare bones basics of this is just to have just do some light touch-ups here and there, generally with the post-process volume. This isn't generally where you're going to overhaul the horse, or I don't know if that's a saying, but generally where you do a massive overhaul, more of just fine-tune adjustments for specific areas, as you can see here. Alright, cool. So I hope that answered your questions about the basics of lighting in Unreal Engine 5. If you found this video helpful and or useful, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.